One of the hottest topics for Tron ARES right now is who is going to be composing the soundtrack for Tron ARES. We've had some amazing composers over the years with Tron 1982, Wendy Carlos, and Journey who assisted on that soundtrack. And then in Tron Legacy we had Daft Punk with assistance by Joseph Trapanese, who also worked on Tron Uprising in 2012. At this point, something that makes Tron so iconic in my opinion is that every entry has such an amazing soundtrack. Tron, Tron Legacy, and Tron Uprising, like I just stated, they all have such iconic soundtracks in my opinion. So this just means that the pressure is on for Tron ARES' soundtrack. I think it's pretty abundantly clear at this point that Daft Punk will not be returning for Tron ARES. Not only are they not together anymore, but they also had many disagreements with Disney on the Tron Legacy Reconfigured album. In fact, I recall Disney going ahead and creating this album before Daft Punk even knew. So I went to Twitter and I asked you guys who you thought should compose for Tron ARES, and here's what I got. The goal of this is to create a list of my top composers that I would like to see composed for Tron ARES that includes input from you guys. One composer that a lot of you guys recommended was Joseph Trapanese, who I've been talking about for months. I totally agree with this since he has a lot of experience in the whole Tron franchise. Of course, like I said, he worked with Daft Punk on Tron Legacy and then worked on Tron Uprising and later on Tron Lightcycle Run. I think he's honestly perfect for the job and I think he's my top choice. Now let's move on to some composers that haven't been involved in the Tron franchise at all, recommended by you guys. One composer that I saw a lot in the comments was Ludwig Göransson. I'm actually a huge fan of him. He's composed for many amazing scores such as Oppenheimer, The Mandalorian, Black Panther, and even Creed 2. As long as he can get that kind of like electronic sound that the Tron soundtracks all have, I think that he could do an amazing job on the Tron ARES soundtrack. I did not see this particular composer much in the comments, but I would love to see Hans Zimmer. If you don't recognize the name, then I guarantee that you know of his work. He worked on the Interstellar soundtrack, Dune, Dune Part 2, Inception, Man of Steel, the Kung Fu Panda movies, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and much, much more. And there's a reason that I specifically mentioned the Amazing Spider-Man 2 score. I mean, have you heard the electro theme? It's a complete masterpiece and it includes electronic and dubstep music. And in my opinion, this kind of fits the whole vibe of the Tron IP. If you haven't listened to this soundtrack yet, I highly recommend you do so, especially the electro suite. In addition to this, Joseph Trapanese has also stated in the past that Hans Zimmer was actually almost paired to assist Daft Punk on Tron Legacy. Another composer that I saw that was recommended to me was M83. They worked on the soundtrack for Oblivion and it is an amazing soundtrack in my opinion. One thing to note is that Joseph Trapanese also worked on this soundtrack. Personally, I think they'd be another really good choice for the Tron ARES soundtrack, especially with the whole vibe that they give off. My last pick is definitely going to be Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. If you don't know, they worked on another soundtrack called The Social Network, and it has a very techie feel because that film is about the story of Mark Zuckerberg and how he created Facebook, and I feel like it has the same kind of vibes that I would like to see in a Tron film. So I think they would do an amazing job, and that is why they're my last pick. Now here are all 5 of the composers that I think would do an amazing job at a Tron ARES soundtrack. Now this is in no particular order at all, so please don't think that I'm ranking any of them at all. I love all of these composers equally. Anyways, that's my list. Let me know what you guys agree with or disagree with, or who you would also add to the list if given the option. Sorry for taking so long to put out such a short video, but I've been really busy with life recently, going to university in September. And I also recently competed in a bodybuilding competition, surprisingly, and won 3 medals. I mean, hey, not too shabby. Hoping to put out more videos since the summer is finally here, and I'll see you guys next time. End of line.